Bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here, and welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Battle Chronicle video. And today we are going to be talking about an issue that has been raised since the announcement of the Christmas event, and in particular we're going to be talking about the issue that a lot of the community has with the selection of units. The upcoming Christmas units has caused a little bit of an annoyance in the community, and we'll talk about it in more detail, and we'll talk about whether the developers are actually to blame for this issue. Now, of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Battle Chronicle content, and let me know your guys' thoughts on this whole situation. You know, we're a day later after the announcement of the Christmas event, so maybe you guys have changed your mind, maybe you guys like the idea more, maybe you guys like the idea less, maybe you watched this video and have changed your mind. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? But of course, if you guys didn't know which units are coming up for the Christmas event, it is of course a brand new Christmas Eyes, a brand new Christmas Finn, a brand new Christmas Gareth, and a brand new Christmas Reveria. So of course, in the first week, we are getting Eyes and Finn. In fact, they did show off Eyes' first two skills on Twitter today, or I should say on X today, but they haven't shown off her special move, and that's the reason why I'm waiting for that special move to drop so that I can make a concise video rather than making multiple videos, to be quite honest. I don't like the idea of doing that. I like the idea of making it just one video and having all of her techniques in one spot. Of course, whenever Finn's drops as well, we'll make a video as well for that as well. But yes, these are your 4 units coming up in the Christmas event, and honestly, the first thing I had in mind, and remember, I also have a little bit of an issue with this entire situation and the fact that we're getting effectively yet another Eyes, yet another Reveria. And in all honesty, I think a lot of the problems people have with this celebration and this upcoming event is that it's once again linked to the Loki Familia in some way, shape, or form. So a lot of people are annoyed that yet another seasonal event is linked to the Loki Familia. And obviously, we have had one with the Hestia Familia. We've had one with technically the Miak Familia, as well as the Hostess of Fertility mixed in with a little bit of Hestia Familia. We've had one with the Freya Familia and Loki Familia as well, with the whole all-comers championship decider event matchup that we had that is ongoing right now. And now again for the Christmas event, we're back to square one with yet another Loki Familia event. So a lot of people are kind of frustrated at that fact as well. But more particularly than that as well, I also feel like people are just annoyed that this is our third Eyes and our third Reveria. Not to mention the fact that we already got our third Lafia and third Ryu as well. Whereas some of these other characters that are in the game either don't have a UR or don't have a second UR. So a lot of people are kind of frustrated at that fact. And I can see why. It's like I said, I'm frustrated about as well. This is our third Eyes, third Reveria. While I do like the options they've gone with in terms of Gareth, Santa Gareth is a thumbs up from my end. And along with that, Finn is a decent option as well. I'm not here to complain about Finn or Gareth. I'm here to complain about Eyes and Reveria in particular, when, they could have easily gone with some other options potentially, right? We could have had if you're going for females, right? And I understand Loki Familia wise right now, unfortunately, they don't have the most options, right? And we'll talk about that in just a moment, because I think that is a big problem that the game has right now. And the reason why I'm not blaming the developers entirely, there's still some blame to proportion to them, but I'm not blaming them entirely, because right now the game is just lacking in characters, right? But we'll talk about that later on. But if they wanted to go for the Loki Familia, Tione are still options that we have. I mean, let's take a look at the character rostrum right now that we have in terms of just the characters, right? Not how many units each character has and anything. Let's look at the characters. So we have Reveria, Finn, Haruhime, Aisha, Cassandra, Daphne, Otaral, Asfi, Gareth, Bet, Tiona. We have Lafia, Ryu, Mikoto, Eyes, Welf, Belle, and Lily, right? Obviously, in terms of assists, we also have a lot more. We have Wine, we have Chigusa, so on and so forth. But if we look at the adventurer side, right? And obviously, right now, we're going to assume that Gareth and Eyes are the adventurers and Reveria and Finn are going to be the assists again. Because remember, I do believe that we are going to be getting a fire tank. And let's be real, Gareth is probably going to be the tank out of... If you're looking at it from an adventurer perspective, I think it's more likely that Gareth is going to be the tank than Reveria. Reveria can also be the tank, but I think it's going to be Gareth more so. But if you're looking from an adventurer perspective, right, you could have easily gone with Tiona. Why didn't we get Tiona? If we're going females, right, why not do Tiona for the Christmas event instead, right? In terms of the adventurer options, you could have easily done that, and one of them could have been a tank as well. Maybe Gareth could have been an assist, and then you could have had an adventurer, Tiona being a tank, or Tiona this time could have been the tank, and Tiona could have been the DPS. It would have been an inverse of effectively the current Tiona, and it would have been a new set of options, right? So within the Loki Familia itself, you have options like that. But more importantly, I think the bigger problem a lot of people have is the fact that we still don't have a second Bell. Now, I will say that I see potentially why they're not releasing Bell immediately. I think they're wanting to do something big with the first new Bell, right? And the thing I'm thinking of, and the reason why I believe we haven't gotten a new Bell, is if we go over to the Grand Schedule Volume 1 over here, oh my god, really? Yeah, we have to scroll all the way back down. But if we go over to the Grand Schedule, inevitably, if we scroll down long enough and go to the Grand Schedule, there we go. And we go over to January, right? We have Arrow of Orion starting, right? And then along with that, we have the half anniversary. And along with that, we are going to be getting Antares as well, the new raid boss from Arrow of Orion. This makes me believe that we're going to be getting one Artemis, which again kind of solves an issue that I'm going to be bringing up in just a moment. But second of all, I think we're going to be getting the Orion movie Bell as our first new Bell as well. So that's what I expect to see in January. Would have I liked to see Bell right now? Yes, but you know, it makes sense as to why they're waiting for a new Bell, because you can make it a big thing with the Orion movie Bell. And second of all, that Bell can be a different typing rather than it being yet another Fire Bell, which I know a lot of people would have been like, really, another Fire Bell as well? There would have been some people out there who would have been like that. But that doesn't change the fact that, okay, if you're not going to be doing Bell because you're saving him for the Orion movie Bell, why not have done somebody else, you know, some other Familia as well? Because of course, with the Loki Familia having had their time to shine, right, why not do something a little bit more than just focusing on one Familia yet again? You know, do something that encompasses the all of Arario and or the entirety of Arario, and you know, make each character, you know, interact with one another. I expect to see some form of interactions in this event as well, but I wanted to see it being more widespread. You know, have Seer interact with Hestia, or have Anya interact with you know, Gareth, or something like that. You know, it could have gone something a little bit you know, left field. Of course, Anya would have been a bit tricky because you couldn't have given a unit to Anya anyways as well, and I'll come on to why in just a moment. And comes back to that whole character situation when why Artemis is a good thing coming up. But basically, they could have done something like that, something big. You could have done so many different characters. Like I said, you know, you could have had a second, a new Tiona. You could have had, obviously, Gareth and Finn got their new units. We still need a new Aisha as well. A new Aisha would have been cool. Bet getting a second unit would have also been cool. You know, Mikoro getting her second UR adventure, you know, making her a better option than what we have right now would have been amazing as well. Welf getting his first UR would have been cool, but I feel like they're waiting on something else, and I'll come on to what in just a moment. But they could have done so many things. They could have used so many options here to make them an adventure. Wine could have been an option, but so far all the events have been taking place after the events of season 2, but before the events of season 3. So Wine getting a new unit, it does seem unlikely events wise, but also another thing is that I wouldn't, I mean, that's the main problem I would say. But the second thing is, I don't know if I would probably see her as an adventure. But a new Hephaestus as well could have been cool. Miak, Taki Mikazuchi, good options as well. So many cool options that they could have gone for, but they didn't, right? And this brings me to my next point. I've seen a lot of people say that, oh, you know, they've not done Alan, they've not, you know, they're not doing an Anya, they're not doing a Chloe, they're not doing, you know, potentially units like Tsubaki and stuff like that. And the big problem is, right, is that we don't have those characters in game. One of the key things I've noticed in many gacha games, right, and it's not just Danmachi Battle Chronicle, many gacha games, is that they will not do a limited variant of a unit until that initial variant has released, right? And of course, Welf is one that has, had a unit, but he's not had a UR. And I believe that what they're doing here is that they're wanting to make a Welf UR before they make a limited Welf UR as well, right? So that's one. Then you obviously have the likes of course, Daphne as well, who doesn't have a UR still as well. So you have these units that haven't been given URs. Asfi obviously just now got her UR. So it's possible that the next limited event that we get, which is of course Valentine's, we could see her getting her second UR there potentially, right? And that's the problem I think that the game has right now, is that there's a lack of characters, and B, without their initial variants, they can't use those characters at all for limited events. So unfortunately, the likes of Anya, the likes of Mia, Chloe, Lenore, Aina, Naza, so on and so forth, they can't be used because we just don't have their initial sort of like, we don't have them in their original outfits in the game yet. And the problem that Danmachi Battle Chronicle has faced so far is that a lot of the events, 3 out of the 5 events we've had so far, right, including Christmas, by the way, they've all been limited. 3 of the events have been limited, 2 of them have been normal. The first event, which was normal, was Haruhime's Adventure, where we got Haruhime, Aiz, and Lafia. Lafia could have been somebody else from the Loki Familia, but again, that brings in the other issue, that is that the majority of the Loki Familia was shown in Sword Oratoria, which isn't in the game yet, right? So you can't do Raul, Anakiri, or any of these guys just yet because they've not been really shown off that much in the main storyline, and we have to wait for either Season 3 or Sword Oratoria primarily, right? Then you obviously have, the summer event, which came out. We had Hestia, Mikoto, Haruhime, Lily, Loki, Riveria, Aiz, and Lafia. So that's 8 characters there. They were all characters that had already gotten their release. Some of them immediately right after their first release, right? With the likes of Aiz and Haruhime, right? Then we go on to Halloween, which again featured Daphne, Cassandra, Ryu, and Seer. And that's where my theory of them wanting to release their initial outfits in UR form kind of goes haywire a bit, because of course you do have UR Daphne, and I was gonna come on to this point. Don't worry if people thought that my wealth point was a bit off. No, don't worry, I know that Daphne was there. I wanted to talk about it here, and that's where I feel like they can probably get away with it when it comes to existing characters that only have SSRs, which at this point is mainly Daphne, or was Daphne at one point. It was Asfi, but Asfi got her a UR unit basically with her own outfit, so it doesn't really matter. But Welf could still be a limited unit because we have his SSR form, so it's not. Welf could have easily been a unit right now. It's just that they didn't want to do a Hestia Familia for some reason. No idea why, to be quite honest. But yeah, Welf could have gotten a unit, and that's where I will say that's fair. Daphne could have gotten a unit, right? Same with we could get a Chigusa, Taki, Mikazuchi, Miyak, Hephaestus, so on and so forth. There's so many options there, right? When it comes to getting a new UR. Either way, besides the point, we're going a little bit off track there. But yeah, Halloween comes out, we got those units, right? Then we come on to the All-Comers Championship event that we have going on right now. And we get 2 new characters in the form of Otaral and Freya, which was perfect. They did a bit of a misplay going with Asfi and Ryu instead of a brand new set of characters. They could have easily done something like maybe Aina plus Uka or somebody else entirely, because I don't know why they decided to go for characters that already exist, especially in the case of Ryu, where we already had her new UR come out in the Halloween event, right? Asfi was an okay choice, at least. I think Asfi was the choice that made sense because she only had an SSR, so giving her a UR made sense. But Aina should have been in place of Ryu, in my opinion, because obviously maybe not story-wise. I haven't checked out the story, so I can't really say much about that. But Aina should have been an option for sure, right? And now we come to the Christmas event, which again shows that we're getting units that are primarily existing in the game already. So far, the game has only had realistically 3 or 4 opportunities to release brand new characters to the game, and they've taken that advantage 3 times. Technically, Aiz was already in the game, but not a UR form of her, right? And same with Asfi, technically not a UR form for her, but we got UR forms for her. So let's say that in all situations, they gave us brand new units, right? The problem is that because of these limited events, and with the summer event taking up 2 parts, which was basically a month long or month and a half long event, you take up so much of this time where they can't create events where you release brand new units. And that's a problem. They released at such a time where there was going to be a stretch of limited events. Summer, Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's is coming up in February. So it was always going to be a mess. However, from now till Valentine's, after the Christmas event ends, which is on the 26th of December, they have to go on a spree of just releasing brand new units. It is, kind of shambolic that we only have 10, 15 characters and we're running through them already. It's kind of crazy. Obviously, like I've said in a live stream before, by the way, I'm not really surprised about the fact that we are getting yet another eyes, because if you look at Danmimo, I think there are like 6-7 more eyes compared to Bell in Danmimo, which obviously has been around for 6 years, and the fact that there's still more eyes than Bell, fair enough. I mean, it makes sense. If it's in that game, then it can be in this game as well. But it's surprising that we still haven't gotten our MC second, UR. It's a surprise that we haven't had significant characters be units yet, even as SSRs. I think at least if they do them as SSRs, which I think would have been a great way to get around this whole situation, is if you release certain characters as SSRs first, like Anya, Aina, Chloe, Lenore, so on and so forth, then inevitably you could have used them very, very easily as URs, right? Even before they got their original outfit in UR format, like Daphne, for example, right? So I feel like it's a missed opportunity on that front as well. But now I want to come to explain why I don't think it's the devs' fault. Of course, like I said, the limited events and everything is definitely something as well, but there is some blame to be taken away from them when it comes to having all these seasonals come across at just such a bad time of their release, right? So in that regards, I understand it. What I do understand even more, however, is the fact that technically, and this is me just presuming how the structure of the game works and how units are decided and everything, based on other gacha games, other anime based gacha games, more often than not, the production committee has an influence on which characters get chosen for what event. Now, I don't know if it was the same in Danmimo or how it is in Danchro, to be quite honest, but I know this based on other anime gacha games. Dragon Ball, for both Dokkan and Legends, is throughout told by Shueisha as to what units we need to release when, because of the overall promotional material of everything going on. It's why I believed immediately when we got the announcement for season 5 that I felt Otarl and Freya would soon release for sure in Danmachi Battle Chronicle. It's why Seer also probably released in Danmachi Battle Chronicle with that Halloween outfit, because it made so much sense that it would just go in line with that whole sort of like announcement for season 5, which we know has a major role for both Seer and Freya in the anime, right? In the upcoming season of Danmachi, right? So it made sense for them to release those units then. Now, of course, I don't know why they're promoting the Loki Familia so much. Maybe it's the same thing in Danmimo as well. I mean, the fact that we got Sword Oratoria for the 6th anniversary was telling that they're kind of pushing the Loki Familia a lot. Now, I don't know why, because they're not planning on releasing Sword Oratoria anytime soon as an anime, to be quite honest. So sad to say, but that is the truth, unfortunately. So I don't know why they're doing this, but if that is the case, then that I can't blame the devs entirely for. What they can do best is try and incorporate as many units as possible and try and go for unique options. But if they say, if you're doing Loki Familia, you have to release an eyes and stuff like that, then there's not much they can do. But nonetheless, if they were going to be doing a Loki Familia, or if they were just told, blankly, just do Loki Familia, they should have done Tiona. I don't know why they didn't, because I think that would have made so much sense. But alas, here we are. Here we are with what is effectively another event with the Loki Familia once again, and with our third eyes and Riveria, of course, right? But let me know what you guys think, of course, in the comment section down below. I just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion. This wasn't going to be any sort of like, insane sort of essay or anything of that sort. This was just going to be a straight up discussion on my thoughts in regards to why we're not getting certain units and so on and so forth. Maybe you guys may think otherwise. That's absolutely fine, but this is just my opinion, of course, and what I've been thinking about since the announcement of the Christmas event. Overall, like I've said in a stream yesterday on my second channel, which you can go check out, more Galeriot, I personally believe that this event is fine with, you know, the Loki Familia Third Eyes, Third Reverie. I'm okay with it, but it is nonetheless disappointing that we are going with we're going another event without another new bell or a new wealth or anything of that sort. And I don't know how much I can blame them necessarily, outside of, you know, maybe they could have planned a little bit better. Maybe they could have released a mini event here and there a little bit more, you know, just like how Haruhime's adventure, if I recall correctly, the event for Haruhime was like a week and a half, 2 weeks long at most, right? Since then, every single event has been 3 weeks long, and of course, if you're looking at the summer event, it was 6 weeks long because part 1 and part 2, right? So in that situation, maybe they could have shortened some of the events instead and gone with maybe like 2 weeks of another event where you probably release Aina or something, and so on and so forth. So maybe circumstance definitely hurt them, but they could have probably taken more control over their schedule and gone with that route, right? And another thing is, of course, maybe they don't have a complete choice in terms of which units they want to choose, because it may come from the production committee that they have to go for a certain XYZ unit for that XYZ event. So I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, of course, what they're going to be doing in the coming months. Like I said, I think our Orion Bell is coming for sure, right? Especially with now no new bell for Christmas, it seems like that's the obvious choice to go for. But let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below in the comment section below. What I think they could do as well, and this is something else I just thought of randomly as well before we wrap up this video, is that they could easily do like maybe unit releases based on story chapter releases. I don't know, like for example, when they release every 2 chapters, they could release a brand new unit. So maybe for Wargame, when they dropped Wargame, they could have probably done maybe a new Hyakinthos, or they could have done a UR Daphne, or they could have done maybe a UR Wealth. A UR Wealth, I think, would have been absolutely fine for war games, right? They could have easily done that. And then when you get to Ishtar Familia, maybe we could have had our first UR Samira or Lena, who obviously don't play a major role in the main story, of course, but obviously long term they do play a role for sure in Sword of Rotoria. Less so Samira, more so Lena, right? And then maybe 2 chapters later, you bring in Aina, you bring in Anya, Chloe, Lenore, so on and so forth. And that could be an easy way of doing it. And they can be single banners that are live, maybe lower the pity a little bit, make it more achievable for your players to get that character. And, you know, maybe it'll incentivize players to summon more. And then you can add them to the regular gacha banner, thereby increasing the pool and also increasing the roster of characters, which would allow players to then A, get those characters, and B, also potentially get limited characters for them in the near future. But yeah, that's just a sudden thought that dropped in my head. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.